My boss decided to cancel my Christmas vacation. I quit because my family comes first. From an early age, my parents brainwashed me into believing that confidence and hard work would add countless zeros to my paycheck. I remained optimistic, even though I only got a 3% raise each year and had to work on holidays. I missed my children's first steps, their school events, and other important moments in their lives, just to bring in as much money as possible for the CEO. After my stepfather's death, my boss called me right at the funeral and asked me to fix a problem while my mother was crying on my shoulder. That's when I told myself I'd had enough. I changed companies and promised myself to put my family first and my career third or fourth. Now let's fast forward to the present. I have become a key employee in our department. Many customer processes are automated through custom apps that I have developed. I maintain a detailed library of documentation on API support and operation, offered to train someone so that the work processes would not be tied solely to me. My manager said, "No way. We will never do anything to make you leave us." Until then, my life had been wonderful. In early December, ABC was audited by the government and found to be in violation. They hired my firm to bring everything into compliance by the end of the year, or they would face fines of around $750,000. ABC delayed providing us with the information we needed to get started. I always take a week off between Christmas and New Year's. I spend this time with my children, making up for all the time I spent at work when they were little. This time with my children is priceless to me. Last week and this week, I notified the project manager and my manager about my vacation. I said I needed information from ABC company so I could start work. I offered to work overtime to finish my part before Christmas Eve. On Tuesday, my manager calls me and says that ABC company has finally sent the data I requested more than 2 weeks ago. He looked depressed because he knew exactly what was coming. I told him who I needed to brief on the project since I would be on vacation after Christmas. My manager replied, "I'm very sorry, but I have to ask you to come to work. I have rejected your vacation request for next week." Asked what would happen to my vacation days. My boss said, "I'm sorry. You know the rule, use it or lose it. I fought for you, but HR wouldn't budge." I wrote my resignation letter after the call and scheduled it to be sent on Monday at 8 a.m. ABC will pay a $700,000 penalty because no one knows how to program the system. As I have no replacement, our other clients will be waiting for their monthly, quarterly, and annual reports in the first week of January. No one knows how to do it. We had 6 projects in development, and now those projects are at a standstill. 7 clients paid in advance for API upgrades and automation in the first quarter of 2022. And I don't know what will happen to them. Please remember, family comes first, and you can never get this time back. Author's comments on how the fine could affect ABC. ABC may not learn anything at all. For them, a $700,000 fine is a drop in the ocean, and they will simply pass it on to their customers or deduct it from their bonus fund. According to the contract, my company may be in breach of its terms, but I'm not a lawyer, and I don't care. I need to think about The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit trilogy, which I plan to watch with my children, as they have never seen these films. About the author's contribution to the company's work, here's what's funny. Every time I wrote an analysis or forecast, management made a decision based on it and ended up in a better financial position. When the pandemic hit, I suggested switching to remote work right away to avoid infections, and they implemented it instantly. When I showed that productivity had increased across the company, the business decided not to renew its lease and went completely remote. When the business wanted to help small companies, I suggested 3 options. I negotiated the deal myself, and these companies have grown by more than 400% and are breaking sales records. However, This time they did not listen to me and may suffer significant losses. I understand the business side of the issue. We are a small or medium-sized firm. Before that, I had an excellent relationship with my manager, and the CEO helped me move into a new home. I understand what a blow my dismissal is to the business, and it weighed heavily on me. Our client is a large company, and large companies are slow to provide data and information. They work at their own pace. I was willing to discuss the option of working half days if someone helped me, or if I was allowed to transfer my vacation to the spring break so I could spend it with my children, but I was offered nothing, only told to use my vacation time now or lose it. For the record, my wife fully supported my decision. She said I'd rather lose my house than my family. That made me realize I was doing the right thing. My oldest son is 9, and this will only be the third Christmas I've spent with him. The first 6, including the very first, I was forced to work. All I have to remember those holidays are videos and photos. I missed both of my son's first steps, their first words, and their first Christmas. That time can never be recovered, and no amount of money can compensate for it. About the planned letter, I ended the call with my manager evasively, but scheduled the letter to be sent on Monday at 8 a.m. I didn't want him to have his holiday weekend ruined. I want to state officially that I never agreed to work next week. My manager said I had to work next week, that I would lose my vacation time, and apologize. He wished me a Merry Christmas and ended the conversation about the documentation left by the author. It's funny that I tried many times to teach other people my process. My manager thought, "You're not going anywhere. It's a waste of time." But I documented my work 100%. Here's an Easter egg in my documentation. If you go into the application, you'll see troubleshooting. Then there's a section on damaged files. CSV, TXT, XML. It describes how to roll back the environment to its previous state before loading. Then you need to load the correct CSV file. Then there is a step-by-step guide on how to update everything back to its current status without pending requests. Let me remind you what happened. My manager informed me that I would have to work for a week between Christmas and New Year's, even though I had my vacation approved back in July. Our new client was facing a fine for non-compliance with legal requirements after an audit. Requests for the data needed to start work were ignored until the last week before Christmas. I chose my family over the company and resigned on the Monday after Christmas. Starting on the Monday after Christmas, my manager began using various manipulative tactics to change my decision. The company's CEO helped put pressure on me. At the same time, another client sent a corrupted file, and the department processed it, causing an entire branch of reports to fail. The company's contract had a clause about mandatory uptime, which caused panic. The company paid a penalty for every hour that the reports were unavailable. For every report, I offered various solutions to help the company deal with the problem, but my suggestions were rejected. Throughout the day, the manager and CEO bombarded me with calls and messages. One of my colleagues found my documentation and restored the reports. Later that day, he was disciplined because he was responsible for processing the corrupted file and did not find the documentation faster. He told me that the manager, HR, and co had spent the whole night looking for evidence to justify the disciplinary action. I advised him to update his resume. The total downtime was 16 hours. Around 3 p.m., I received a call from a new number. It was the client's business manager, the liaison between my former company and the client. I explained to her the delay in receiving the data before Christmas, despite numerous requests. I told her about the loss of a whole week of paid vacation, the flood of calls and messages, and that I had offered to return to help her company. The business manager told me a different story. The manager and CEO had previously called her and told her that I had quit and was holding the project hostage to get more money. I explained that this was not the case and that I was not trying to return, after seeing how the company treats its employees and how they treated me after I resigned. I have no desire to return there. The business manager asked what the terms of the salary, signing bonus, etc. would be, and I would be willing to return to my former company. She said she would call back in an hour and asked me not to respond to any more messages from the manager or CEO. Message from CEO. The business manager called about you and said everything he thinks about you. Message from the manager. I bet the business manager will make you pay this fine personally. The business manager called me back on a conference call and asked what you need to complete this project, software, data, and so on. I give her a list of everything I need and answer other questions about the project. She says, "Here's the plan. We'll offer you a contract to complete this APL by the end of the year at double the hourly rate you requested. If you can finish by December 31st, we'll give you a bonus. After the new year, we'll look at our staffing situation and maybe find a place for you, but there are no guarantees. Especially if the project isn't completed." Deal. I agreed to their terms. I said to put everything in writing and that I could start as soon as they gave me a virtual machine. The business manager is responsible. No problem. The lawyers have reviewed the contract, and there is a clause stating that if your former company is unable to fulfill the obligations it has agreed to, it can transfer it to a third party and bill them. I just need them to officially state that they cannot complete the project, and we will bill them for your work.